For this demonstration, I'm drawing some props in perspective. The theme is an old fantasy tavern, so I'm going to visualize items like chairs, tables and barrels. This is a useful visualization technique if you're going to 3D model later. I'm doing this digitally, but for your homework you can do this traditionally or digitally if you have a tablet. I start with a light grey background to give me a mid-tone, then choose dark grey, which is close to black, and an off-white for the lighter areas. First, I have gathered some reference and also converted these images into black and white so it helps me deal with the values better in grayscale. I have looked at medieval furniture and also a miniature model taken from a really useful site called coolminiornot.com. Looking at miniatures can often help, especially if you're doing stylized 3D models. The reason is that they have to exaggerate the proportions because the objects are so small, and this is very good for 3D modeling. I start off by creating a basic barrel shape. I exaggerate the shape and silhouette to make it more cartoony. To indicate the wood, I just use a few lines here and there in places. The secret to quick sketching is not to do details everywhere, but to just indicate it in certain areas and have certain areas also flat with less detail. Based on some of the reference I have gathered, I play with the pointed shapes for the back of the chair. At this point, I'm just estimating the perspective. This helps to keep your drawings more dynamic. If you jump into perspective too early, sometimes you might find it stiff. You can always check the perspective later on. The light direction for the objects I set coming from the same place. This gives more consistency to your work. It's especially important for concept art and 2D graphics because you want everything to look like it's part of the same place. I'm sketching out different bottle shapes as props that would appear in the room. When you're designing game objects or even characters, try to break your things down in a very basic way to a circle, triangle or square. By using these base shapes as a starting point and squashing and stretching them, you can make your characters and objects different from each other, and this will help to add more diversity to your game. I'm finishing off here with an animal head. It's always good to get reference here, especially with objects like skulls, even if you stylize it. It helps you to know the basic structure underneath, and then you can exaggerate afterwards. That's it for this demo. I will upload a document that contains your homework for this week.